Hey there everybody, Avery Crawford here, just posting another video about the things that I do in my reptile room. Recently, Haley and myself wanted to get ourselves another rack for our snakes. We got 30 in our collection right now, and unfortunately, one rack system isn't going to hold all your animals forever. At some point, you're going to need to expand, you're going to need to invest, either buy something from someone else or create your own. And there's a couple different things where you fall in the middle. Because of our space right now, we can't accommodate too many shelves, just because we are limited in this apartment. Maybe one day when we either get a permanent household or another place that's a little bit bigger, we can work with that. So we've got more snakes on the way, and we've got hatchlings in the oven. And that means in probably about 2 months, we're gonna need more space for our animals. What we did was first shop around. There's a couple really good products out there that you can buy online. They are a bit costly though, so if you don't necessarily have the funds, that's okay. There's a lot of ways around that. Something I like to do is go out on big trash days. People are always throwing out cabinets, shelves, things like that, which with a little bit of elbow grease, you can easily turn into your own snake shelf system. Now what we did was go online and we actually found a 1-for-2 combo. This woman was selling a male double het, it's albino and piebald. In addition to that, she was selling a 5-shelf rack system, probably more like some fiberboard that someone she knows had tried to convert into a shelf for animals before, but it wasn't in the best of condition. But I really was more interested in the snake than it was the shelves, but the shelves were kind of a bonus. So when we got it, it was in a little bit rough condition, definitely needs some work, but really with the time and for the price, anything's possible. It hasn't been easy moving stuff around the reptile room. I actually busted my ankle pretty good a few days ago. It's not broken, it's just a sprain, but out of all the times I have rolled my ankle in the past, this was definitely by far the worst. So today I had off work and I figured I'd go ahead and make this video for you guys. So we'll talk about some of the materials used and the products that we have going into this shelf, and hopefully that'll help you in the future if you're interested in making yourself your own shelving unit for your reptiles. Okay, so here you have it. It's really nothing fancy. This was originally a white overlay fiberboard design. Basically what that is you know, at wood mills and factories, they have a lot of sawdust left over. And in the industry of wood, you know, as a renewable resource, you still have to get clever with the things you do. So they take all those wood shavings and they compress them in a mixture with heat and glue to create fiberboard. Now this stuff is super absorbent and it's really not designed for outside wear. Many of you who have gone to college probably bought some hand-me-down IKEA furniture or something off of Craigslist. You notice it's flaky on the edges and it's really only good for so long. But in the case of this, there's no drinks that go on this. This is designed for our purpose to just hold our animals and keep them at an appropriate temperature so that way they're happy, safe, and have a good, long, healthy life. You may notice it's no longer white, it is now black. Just to clean up some of the ends and conceal any of the old paint beneath, I did go ahead, I did 3 coats of spray semi-gloss primer. More importantly, I like to use the engine enamel. It's very thick, it holds up well to surface scratches and abrasions, so all the shelves as they're being pulled out over the years, it'll help with some of that wear. You may notice there's a little bit of rough spots here and there, but I mean, all in all, for the price in which we got it along with the animal, it's not a big deal. So I just got this thing hooked up today. We got some heat tape put in there and a brand new thermostat. So right now I'm letting the temperatures kind of get regulated. We'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. But otherwise, it is 5 shelves. Each one holds a 28-quart container. These shelves were designed specifically to hold only one brand of Tupperware. So whoever built this before me used their existing Tupperware as a means of holding the animals. So they did give me some of those tubs. Only some of the tubs are really good. 2 of them have holes in them in the bottom, so any kind of moisture or something that might get through there from the water bowl or the animal going to the bathroom is probably going to ruin the shelf. So I'm going to take those and go out and see what other stores may have that same brand or size piece of Tupperware, so that way I can replace those without worrying about any gaps at the top. These were built to just hold the tub to slide in there without having a lid on it. That way you don't have to worry about the lid being closed all the way. It'll just slide right in and the animal won't be able to get out because they got nowhere to go. Okay, so here's our Sentry thermostat. Haley picked this up off of, I believe, Amazon. You know, you don't have to go and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars if you're getting set up on something your collection's so small, but long term you should think about investing in a quality product. We didn't spend too much on this Sentry thermostat. I'll have to ask Haley for the exact dollar amount because that's not really something I talked to her about. But so far, so good. I've got it pinned in at 88 degrees and the temperature has been slowly going up, so hopefully this thing levels out and I'll be able to monitor it. Down here is your plug-in. This is where your heat tape or heat mats would go. Over here is the thermostat readout and of course our power source, which I have plugged in down there in the wall. So a lot of people often ask me about how we keep our animals warm. They always think that we only use heat lamps for above heat, but that's not the case. And any of you experienced in the reptile trade, you know you can't rely on just above heat lamps, especially for your snakes. A lot of them need belly heat. It helps with digestion. They can thermoregulate more appropriately. There's nothing wrong with above heat lamps, you know, as long as you've got the temperature balanced out within the cage. It's not going to reduce the humidity too much, and you know, it's really just to help keep an ambient temperature. And some of your lizards, especially your iguanas, you know, you're going to need UVA and UVB heat, but that's something entirely different. We're not dealing with that today. This heat tape is 3 inches wide. I measured the overall height of our shelf and of course the width going across each shelf. So it's 33 inches tall. Each shelf was 18 inches wide, so 18 times 5 plus 35 for the height gave me the exact amount I needed. For this shelving unit, you can see inside there, which can be difficult, it's a little bit dark, each shelf has its own rung. There's actually pretty cool, there were recessed grooves in the back here for the heat tape, so it settled in very nicely right into the grooves on the shelf, which you know, that way it's nice when the shelving goes in, it won't catch up on that. Sometimes when the heat tape is above and sitting right on the shelf, it can get worn a lot, and of course if you wear a hole down into your heat tape, it can short out on you and just not work appropriately, cause house fires, etc. So we try to avoid that. The brand we used in particular was Pangea Reptile. There's a site you can go to, tell them exactly what you need as far as width and length, and they will actually go ahead and set up for you. They got great connections. They're super solid, snug. I went and tested them, checked them out myself, which is nice. You can build them yourself, but if you're not experienced and you're not sure what you're doing, there's nothing wrong with spending a few extra bucks to have somebody else do it for you. I like it so far. They gave me this cool little decal to include, and I went ahead and put it on our air unit over here. It helps cut down on dander, dust, smell, odor control. We got a really good deal on this bad boy, and included with the price are the filters. So they, you know, they mail out and you get a new filter when it's time to replace this one. It slides in. It's a really good investment. I highly recommend it. Looking into them. There you go. The Lux Guardian Air Platinum Series. It's running, it's not loud, and it doesn't draw a lot of power. In addition to our new addition, Haley got clever with it. We both like a lot of art in our lives. I have a background in illustration and graphic design, and Haley's no exception to the rule. She's a very skilled artist, and maybe sometime in the future we'll go over some of the pieces we've done. But she just, like 5 minutes the other day, she did this little acrylic doodle on top here. Someone on Facebook, she had requested, send me your cutest ball python, and someone sent her that picture of a banana, so she did a quick sketch, and it's kind of nice, adds a little bit of color, ties it all in, and of course it takes whatever the bland kind of medical room feel you get from your ball python, or a snake studio for that matter, and reptile room, kind of adds some pop and creativity, and we're always trying to expand on that and show other people our appreciation for art. So here's set up right now our existing shelving unit, and of course the new one that I just talked about a little bit. This was designed by another individual who I got off a friend of mine for a pretty good deal. The tubs they were using before were very long, and they were only putting one snake per in there, but there's a lot of space. I mean, these shelves are deep and they're wide, so you know, if you have a subadult or a juvenile, that's way too much space for the animal. They can get kind of spatially claustrophobic, not in the sense that it's too tight, but too much open area may cause a juvenile to feel uncomfortable, and they won't go into a healthy feeding cycle. Sometimes they won't even eat altogether. So I kind of had to adapt to the situation a little bit. I tried getting smaller tubs, but I couldn't find a pair of tubs that were deep enough to span the shelf without needing a lid to keep our animals in. Otherwise, you've got about 3 inches at the front of each of these. I'm not too terribly happy about the design overall, but for our purposes, where we're at right now, it's been okay. The future plan is to maybe totally scrap this or adjust some of the shelves so that way we can fit a bunch of hatchling racks in here. In the meantime, we do have some juveniles up top. Now, as you'll see, there's a lot of space. I had to kind of think around the ballpark for this. I've got a piece of stretched canvas with a frame, and that slides up inside of here. I was looking at them earlier and doing some changes in their tubs, so it's not here with me right now. But each one's been sliding up top, and we've got 2 juveniles which have finally broken like 500 grams, so they can't fit in those small tubs. So we've moved them up to the 28 quarts. But as I mentioned, I'm going to go ahead here and use Sophie as an example. Sophie's a pastel yellow belly that we got kind of on a trade and a rescue, I guess you could say. Pastel yellow belly, she's grown tremendously in the time that we've had her, so I'm really excited about that because we've got some black pastel yellow belly stuff we'd like to work with, make some ivories, some pewters. You never know what you're going to get. But anyway, as you can see here, her tub is almost the same size as the shelf. The reason I can't use these, they just won't fit. With the lid on here, it just doesn't work out that way. So the design of the other shelving units is you would take the lid off, and these would slide right in. But the same problem occurs. There's a gap here. And anyone who has a snake knows if it can find a way out, it's gonna make it. So our existing tubs won't work here. They only work on this shelving system. They did provide me with a bunch that they said I could use. 2 of them aren't really very good, so I'm gonna have to find replacements for them. I'll probably just take one of the tubs with me to like Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Lowe's, Goodwill, really any place in the surrounding area that may have large quantities of different types of variety and brands, and then that way I can replace the 2. But in a perfect world, they would fit snug up like this, and that way you have no risk about the animal getting out, and it's as simple as pulling it out like a drawer, and you can reach right in there and get them. Right now, the problem, it's kind of frustrating, is you have to pull each one of our existing tub systems out and pull the lid off. It's really not a big deal because our collection is only so big, but I can imagine if you had 500 plus animals and you were breeding full time, you wouldn't want to have to take each one out, put them on the ground every time you just had to do anything inside the cage. So it eats up time, and in the grand scheme of things, you know, time is money. If you're spending an extra 2 hours moving tubs up and down when you could just pull them like a drawer, it would make your life a lot easier as a breeder. So that's kind of the direction we're going in right now. But I just wanted to showcase to you guys how if you are on a budget and you're willing to invest in the materials you need, i.e. the heating element, and of course a way of dispersing the heat, in this case we're using heat tape, it's better to spend the money on those things and then just use your creativity to make something worthwhile that'll be good for your needs in the meantime. So I hope this video helped. I hope you guys learned something from it, and of course you can always ask me if you have any questions. I'll try to include my contact information in this video. I feel like that's something I've been neglecting over the past few times, but yeah, Instagram, Facebook, and of course we're always available by phone as well at Balls of Love. My name's Avery Crawford, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.